Fahkumram, probably one of the most broken Tekken characters ever made, at least until he got nerfed, I think around the last season of Tekken 7. And I've been asked to do a redesign of him. Being honest, how am I supposed to redesign this? Alright, so I got requested a couple times by a few people to do a redesign of Fahkumram, like this demon of a character and the way that he looks. I don't know, he might be the craziest Mortal looking fighter in fighting game history. Compare him to like a Joe from King of Fighters or Sagat from Street Fighter, like he looks insane. Not to mention his trailer where he's towering over Craig when what Marduk's supposed to be like 7 feet, so what Fahkumram was like had to be like 8 or 9 feet tall in the trailer, and then he's like a normal dude when you play with him in the game. There's a part of me that actually wishes they kept him that tall in the game, but whatever. He was already broken, what was it gonna hurt? But anyways, designing him was gonna be a challenge anyways. And kudos to Tekken for actually pushing the boundaries of a Muay Thai design for a character. And I've read interviews where they talked about his design process, where the only thought process was make a character who looks like he will put fear in your hearts on sight if you saw him. And I think they did that. So looking at his backstory, with little of it actually is available online, I thought at first to actually design like a prison look for him. Like if he was actually in handcuffs or like cuffed up from assault of some of the people like the mafia or any of the corrupt people that was sort of making him throw fights for like blackmail for his family or anything like that. But having recently relived the sort of Ryu Sagat prison episode of Street Fighter, I decided not to do that just because it was so closely attached. And I just went with upgrading his current Muay Thai design, just trying to see in what ways could I even change that design, if possible. And this is what I got. So like I said earlier, his design is already sort of crazy to begin with. I looked at a lot of like modern sort of Muay Thai or like kickboxing competitions over in Thailand to just get an idea of what fighters wear, just to use that as almost like a starting point. And there's little changes to like what is considered a Muay Thai design in most fighting games. It almost looks like old school or traditional Muay Thai outfits. I changed that a lot to make it look like a more modern or competitive look you see today with more wrist tape. I almost gave him leg guards, but of course one of his accessory in Tekken 7 was leg guards, so I sort of stood away from that just because it's already there. The little traditional, and forgive me for not knowing what it's called, but the little things that the flowery decorations that they wear around their neck in Muay Thai, I gave that to him. He kinda has something like that in one of his Tekken 7 outfits. I know I just said I didn't want to steal too much from previous designs, but I figured to use that in his base here. Just take the robe off of him. I also gave him longer shorts. I just redesigned his Muay Thai trunks from the last game, or shorts rather. Sort of made them longer and added accessories to it to make it kinda different. And I changed up his ankle tape too. That, and I put a lot of wrap and band designs on a lot of my characters, so I wanted to do something slightly different here, though he still has them for the record. And I did the same thing for his wrists. Once again, I almost gave him gloves, but as I said earlier, Tekken 7 design. They sort of went through every nook and cranny of what to try to do different with him for like a Muay Thai design in that last game. So I was trying to think outside the box as much as possible. Luckily, while drawing this, I was watching ECW, like old school ECW. I actually got an idea from Taz to sort of draw a towel around Fahkumram's head. That sort of made him look meaner than he already did. I don't know, it makes him look sort of crazier just with him like a torn up towel around his head. So I added that as I was drawing the design. And then after that, I just began coloring. Before I continue, just to remind anybody, if you like the video so far, to like and subscribe. Now getting on to the coloring phase. So I wanted him to have gold for whatever reason. I almost started with like gold and red, but I don't know why. I just feel like there's a lot of red designs in Tekken characters to begin with. A lot of reds and oranges for whatever reason. So I went with sort of teal and gold, and it actually matched his tattoos for some real reason as I was designing it. So I rolled with that color scheme. I gave him the Garuda logo on his trunks once again. I just figured that would be like a staple of his, so I kept it on there. And I designed his tape on his ankles just to change it up. The tattoos I had to actually do after the fact because I knew I would color over it with the shadows and the highlights. Just an extra step that I wouldn't normally take that I had to add this time around. The body tattoos was actually easier than I thought. I could sort of just paint around the details, so to speak, and there's so much going on around his upper body that I can get away with sort of shortcuts there. Not as much on the face. Even with him wearing the towels, there's still quite a bit that I need to sort of stay true in his sort of face tattoo, which is an insane looking tattoo, by the way. But after getting that colored and then having to use an entirely different brush to use the tattoos on his shoulders from the ones I did on his chest, just because of how it looks, I had the colors blocked in, and then it was on to getting his shadows done, which coloring the shadows for him wasn't as bad as I thought it was about to be. Just kind of tedious because of the amount of intricate details I gave him in the design. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't until I was having to do the shadows on the towel itself that it became a problem, because I needed that to look somewhat darker, but I didn't want to entirely erase all the details that I made with the shadows. So it is what it is. It happens. But he had a lot of details for me to have to shade into, by the way. But cleaning that up, it was on to the highlights, which I once again had to do in 2 separate tries, just because of his normal colors and the shadows, and then going back and doing it over his skin with white, just because once again the amount of detail that was put in with the tattoos over his clothes, the tattoos and the shorts for that matter. Like I said, such an insane looking character, and I needed him to look as mean as possible. Once again, I'm kind of glad I got this request. It's a different type of character than designing from normal. I've been doing a lot of cops and ninjas and samurais and stuff like that lately, so to just get a straight up fighter was a nice change of pace. I actually like this a lot. After finishing those highlights for his skin and his shorts and going over that, I was pretty much finished. And I had this brand new Fahkumram for Tekken 8, which I do believe he is rumored to reappear. I'm going to be happy about that when I start playing online. But in any event, let me know what you guys think. How do you like the design? Whether or not it's a nice upgrade or downgrade, depending on how you look at it from Tekken 7. And as always, if you have a request, let me know in the comment section below. And you all have a good one. And I'm out.